So, I've got a thing for roses. Not quite sure where this obsession started. I don't know if that's just something that came with age, and as I got more into gardening, I got into roses, but I'm into them. And I remember when I first started gardening, so many people kind of tried to steer me away from trying to grow roses because generally it is not the easiest plant to grow and grow well. So naturally that made me even more enticed, and I dove fully headfirst into trying to grow the best roses that I could. I'd like to say I've done it pretty successfully, and I've grown almost every kind of rose you really can, essentially. I've got shrub roses, tree roses, tea roses, hybrid tea roses, climbing roses, you name it, and I have it or have had it. So with that, I've done a lot of drying flowers. There's a certain area in my house that I will show you guys here that when I first purchased this home, I was like, oh yep, I'm definitely going to cover the ceiling in dried flowers. When I was a little kid, my meme had a really cool 4-season porch, and it was covered, the ceiling was covered in dried flowers. I loved the way it looked. So I kind of wanted to imitate that. So I've been cutting and drying my flowers ever since, saving everything. Point is, when you dry flowers, they lose so much of that natural it factor that makes them beautiful in the first place. Their smell, the color, the texture and shape, their vibrancy, everything. So thinking about that kind of led me down a rabbit hole. Is there a different way to do it? Now, that's what today's video is. Here is what we're going to be making. So I figured it out. There's something called preserving flowers. And as you guys can see here, these are fully preserved flowers and they look so good. I'm so happy with how they came out. So again, that's what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I got here and every step of the process along the way. So if you guys want to make your own grown at home floral shadow box too, you can. So I think we can just jump right into the video now. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. I will link everything you need down in the description box below, and enjoy the video. Alrighty guys, so before we get started, let's just quickly go over everything you're gonna need if you wanna make this project too. It is kind of a lot of stuff, so I feel like it's important to just kind of individually go through everything really quick. So first and foremost, you're obviously going to need whatever flower it is that you plan on drying. You can literally use any flower, anything that you wanna dry from your garden or from your yard. So you need your flowers. Then the second most important thing is the flower drying silica gel. This is flower drying art or silica gel, and you can find this pretty much anywhere online, Amazon, craft stores. I got both of these bags at my local Michael's, and I got 2 5-pound bags. So even though this stuff is reusable, you do need a lot of it, and I plan on drying a lot of flowers. So I got 2 5-pound bags just in case, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to need yet. I've never done this before. So I got 2 5-pound bags just to be safe. And when you turn it over, there's no directions, but there's a QR code. So if you take out your phone, put your camera over that QR code, it will pop up a link, and that link will take you to the Activa website where you can get all of the directions or associated charts to answer all of your questions about flower drying art. And those are the directions that we're going to be following in today's video. So we've got our flowers, our silica gel, the directions. Next you're going to need your shadow box. So the most important thing to remember about the shadow box is its depth. So according to whatever flower you're going to be drying, make sure the shadow box you have accommodates that. So this shadow box is extra deep at 4.5 inches because I'm doing roses, and roses are quite tall, and you're also going to have a foam base to stick your roses into. So this was the cheapest option. I think it was $5 for all of these blocks. So I'm just gonna cut one of these blocks in half. So this shadow box needs to accommodate that inch or so of foam and my flowers. So I got an extra deep one. I think this one was around $35 and some change at Michael's. Then you have your dry foam or Floracraft. So this is the foam that we're actually going to stick inside the shadow box. We're gonna adhere it to the shadow box. Then we can stick our dried flowers into the actual foam itself. This next piece is optional. So I saw this in the same aisle that I got the flower drying art silica gel from. So this is from Krylon, and this is an ultra UV floral protectant spray. So this is a UV sunblock for artificial and dried floral protection, and it's for indoor and outdoor use. Then you're going to need your Tupperware containers, or any type of container that has a strong sealable lid, if you're going to do the air dry method. So there are a couple different ways you can do this. You can stick the floral drying art and your flowers into the microwave with no lid, or you can let it air dry for a few days according to the chart with a lid on it. So I've got a few different pieces here. I've got maybe 4 of these deeper individual ones with lids and this larger one with a lid. So when it comes to drying flowers, the individual flowers cannot be touching themselves. So because they can't touch each other and they need to be fully encased, I figured these little deeper individual ones would be good for my thicker roses, and I can stick all of the little ones in that larger bin together as long as they're not touching. Also, you guys need to keep in mind, if you guys are going to use Tupperware containers for this project, if you use the Flower Drying Art Silica Gel in these containers, you cannot use these containers for food anymore. So these need to be containers you are okay with just being for projects. Once you use the silica gel inside them, they are no longer able to be used for food. Not food safe anymore. Next up, we have our hot glue gun. So we've got our hot glue gun and our hot glue sticks. That's what we're going to adhere our flower foam to the shadow box in and our flowers to the foam with. Now we've got floral wire. So I've got a nice thick heavy roll of green floral wire. Also going to need wire cutters and maybe some needle nose pliers just in case to kind of help manipulate that wire. So I think that's just about everything we're going to need. So I think we can get started with drying some flowers. So let me clear our space here and then I'll pull in and show you guys all of the flowers that I plan on drying. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of flowers right here, all from my garden. I've got red roses, pink roses, hydrangea, lavender, and I want to try to dry as much as I can. These are my favorite roses right here. So this is called a Liv Tyler rose tree, and the scent, you guys, they smell so good, but these are incredible. It quite literally smells like a fruit. I want to eat it. I've never smelled a more fragrant rose than the Liv Tyler rose, which yes, is named after who you think it's named after if you recognize that name. I think what I'm gonna try to do is get my favorite roses out of the bunch. So obviously these have bloomed a lot longer than these ones have, and these ones. So I'm gonna try to just fit in as much as I can wherever I can. So I've got all of my containers and the matching lids ready to go. So like I said, there are 2 different ways to dry flowers. One method is putting it in the microwave and another method is just letting it sit out for a few days. I'm gonna be doing the one where we just let it sit out for a few days. So I'm not going to go over the microwavable directions. I think I'm just gonna fill up an inch or 2 with the silica gel in all of these containers first. All right, I have a mask here. I'm going to put this on because there's so much dust coming out of this. So step 1 is to cut the flower stems to about 1.5 inches long. Now let's see, step 2. Pour the flower drying silica gel into a container to a depth about 1.5 inches. The flower should be able to stand face up in the flower drying art. Make sure the flowers do not touch each other. Then build the flower drying art silica gel up around the base of the flower by gently sprinkling it around it and then sift it on top and on the sides of the flower. Tap the container to make sure flower drying art sinks into all of the petals of the flower. All right, so all of these containers I've filled. I do have another one, but let's finish off these ones first. Like you can see, I already started to pour in silica gel on top of these roses, and that's exactly what you're looking for. So you want to pour nice and slow and make sure all of the silica gel is getting down inside each one of those rose petals as best as you can get it. There's so much moisture that can get stuck down inside a flower, especially a flower like a rose. We want to try to pack as much silica gel inside of there as we possibly can. All right, so there's how much silica gel I used. I've got maybe 1/6 of one 5-pound bag left. So I was cutting it really close, and I really could have used more. If I had an entire another bag, I would have just used this way larger container, but I didn't, so we made it work. And we're just going to have to sacrifice 5 of my beautiful red roses. Such a bummer. I've got a mess to clean up, but before we do that, let's just take a look at the chart and see what the chart says for drying times as far as roses. Okay, so conventional flower drying time chart. And if we go over to roses, rosebud, so it says for a rose, number of days required is 3. So we have to let these sit inside the silica gel for 3 days. Rosebuds take 4 to 5 days. So because I have rosebuds in a couple of these, I'll probably just let all of them end up sitting inside of here for 4 days. We are gonna let these sit in here for 4 days, all of these flowers, and I will see you guys in no time. Alrighty guys, so it has already been 4 days that these flowers have been drying inside the silica gel in these little containers. So now we have to start pouring all the silica gel out and see where we're at. Alright, hopefully that gives you guys a really good view. And again, I guess we just start really slowly pouring this out to reveal what we've got. Look at that already. Oh my gosh, you guys. Whoa. Look at that. Holy moly. That is a huge difference. That's a big, big difference of what these flowers look like versus hanging them upside down. Oh my gosh, they look so delicate though. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm just gonna try to, whoa, I don't wanna drop it. Pluck them out one at a time and try to gently get all of the silica gel out of the inside of the flower. Look at that. That's crazy. That is so much better than what it looks like upside down. Look at even just the foliage on the bottom, the actual bud foliage. It's perfectly stuck out to the side. That looks really, really cool. All right, here we go. Last big bin. Ooh, I'm nervous, you guys. I don't know how to pour this out. There are so many in here. Just very, very gently. Look at how cool. Oh my God. Ah! All right, I just stopped and took a ton of pictures because this is so cool. All right, guys, so these are all of the flowers that we have to make our arrangement with. I think this is enough to make a good sized arrangement for the inside of our shadow box, which I'm super, super excited about. So now the question is, do we mess around with that spray, at least on these deeper roses, to try to get some of this dust to go away? Because I could take like a makeup brush to it. I don't know, maybe I'll go grab a makeup brush and see if we can get some of this surface dust off of the roses. It's just a little bit brighter, doesn't look so dusty. Okay, I'm gonna go through every single one and dust them off. So, looking at this can again, it says UV sunblock, indoor, outdoor flowers, artificial and dried floral protection. So I'm gonna take one, go outside with it, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like after I spray it with the Krylon Ultra UV Floral Protectant. Guys, look at it, destroyed the flower. Look at it, looks like I hit the edges with white spray paint. Oh my gosh, not only that, it looks glossy. Wow, look at it, it destroyed it. I wish I did it on one of the smaller ones, I'm an idiot. I was not expecting that to happen though. Okay, so verdict on that, do not use that spray. So now we've got to get ready to start setting up our actual shadow box. So before we do that, we have to prep our foam block and the actual backing. So let's get all of our flowers out of the way. We'll get that stuff over here and figure out the plan. Okay guys, so we've got our floral foam or dry foam right here, and we've got the shadow box, which again is 4.5 inches deep. I want to open this up and see what the backing looks like and see really how much space we're working with before we cut apart our craft foam. So it's looking like a basic foam board backing. We've got to figure out what shape we want the base to be. I think I'm going to try to keep it more square in the center. So that means we have to figure out what size and cut this foam according. All right, I didn't want to waste any more foam, so I just cut what was left over from that initial block, and I'm going to just simply hot glue all of these 3 pieces together. Alrighty, and that's that. Doesn't look the prettiest, but it doesn't matter. It's just a foam block. It's gonna get covered and it's held together well. So we can shut off our hot glue gun, and this part is up to you guys. I am going to paint mine black. I'm going to paint the top and the sides black. That way, if anywhere peeks through it, it blends in with the background of the shadow box. Alrighty guys, so my little foam block is finished drying. Also, you can see I patched in some more pieces just to make this block a little wider. After I finished it, I realized it might not be big enough to hold all the flowers that I want it to hold. I didn't want to waste an entire another block, so I just pieced it together with the extras. Doesn't matter, it's not going to be seen anyway. And I did want to let you guys know that when you paint floral foam, it takes forever to dry. So I used a heat gun on mine, and that helps speed up the process quite a bit. So just a heads up, if you're gonna paint yours too, it takes a really long time to dry. Now we're getting ready to actually start putting this thing together, and this is totally gonna be up to you guys. So however you want to lay out your flowers is completely up to you. Now, I suggest when you're doing it, you maybe get some needle nose pliers, because when you're putting the flowers into the actual foam block, it's a lot easier to stick them into the foam when you have a nice strong needle nose plier to kind of help jab it into the foam. So I'm gonna do that with my biggest roses to figure out where they go. Then I'm going to add hot glue in on the base, and I'm quite literally just gonna start sticking flowers wherever I want and seeing what works. If it doesn't work, pull it out and move it. I don't think we're gonna need any of the floral wire or the wire cutters, but I have them to the side just in case. So I'm quite literally gonna start doing that. I'm just gonna start sticking flowers wherever I want and see what works and what doesn't. Okay, so now that I've got these first biggest 5 flowers in, now I'm going to go in with my hot glue gun and gently glue the stems in place. All right, already that has helped hugely. These things are not going to go anywhere now. Essentially, we're just going to do the same thing for the rest of the piece. You're just going to slowly start placing all of the flowers in and just really play around with it. See what looks good and see what you like and see what you don't. Take it out, move it somewhere else if you don't like it. Once it's set in the place you know you like, then you hit it with the hot glue. You want to try to leave yourself space to get the hot glue gun in there. So just do a couple, hit it with hot glue, fill some more, hit it with hot glue, fill some more, hit it with hot glue. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna keep filling it in one flower at a time. Okay guys, so I think I am really happy with this final look. So that means we're just about done. The last thing we have to do is mount this foam to the back of the board, which obviously we have to be super careful with because we don't want to mess any of these flowers up. I'm going to be incredibly generous. The last thing I want is this foam block falling off. I'm being really generous with the hot glue, and obviously we've got to work quickly. All right, now before it dries, we gotta quickly move our flowers onto the hot glue. Fingers crossed, hope for the best. Try to get it in the center. and push it down wherever you can. Alrighty guys, we are just about done. So the last thing we have to do is mount this into our shadow box and we're finished. So I'm going to clean the glass on my shadow box, making sure it's nice and dust free, and then I will show you guys the final reveal.